Welcome to the UMBC Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Steve Levy. We're recording this program right here on the UMBC campus. The wonderful students of the MCS 395 class, they are doing everything for this show. They're making us look good here on the set. And I am so pleased to be joined by women's lacrosse coach, head women's lacrosse coach, Amy Slade. Amy, what do you think of this whole? You didn't even know this existed until a few minutes ago, right?
No, I was looking for the hair and makeup room because clearly I need some help with my hair.
So, Amy, take us back several weeks ago. You had a tremendous weekend, really, presenting as a presenter at the U.S. Lacrosse Convention, and then the same weekend basically inducted into the Long Island Association Foundation Hall of Fame. That was quite a weekend for you. You know, for many of us who are not going to be inducted into any kind of Hall of Fame, you know, what is that experience like for someone to go through?
It was an excellent experience. Number one, presenting in front of the masses. So people come from all over the country to see these presenters presenting in a sport that they've absolutely fallen in love with, in a sport that's allowed me to make it so far in my career. So it was a great honor to be there to teach the America and the youth of America kind of going forward, so that younger kids growing up can be able to play at that college level. Right. And teaching those coaches how to coach those kids was a huge honor. And then quickly got on 95 and drove all the way up to Long Island. That was an awesome event. It was an awesome honor. I was surrounded by so many great lacrosse players. Obviously the ones that were inducted and the ones that have been inducted in the past, many of which who I knew or who I was coached by or played with. So it was just a great honor to be surrounded by people who love the game of lacrosse and want to continue to grow the game of lacrosse. And the game of lacrosse has done so much for them. So to be surrounded by people who are a lot like you and share that same passion is a lot of fun.
I get the sense you don't get nervous too much, but which occasion made you more nervous?
I would say the award thing.
Okay.
That's always difficult. I will say though, they made us keep our speech under 3 minutes.
Right.
And I was a minute and like 45 seconds. I got a standing ovation. I think for going a minute and 45 seconds.
Right. Those things tend to be long evenings.
The two guys before me, I think, were at 8 minutes and 12 minutes. So.
Amy, I'm always curious because sometimes the greatest players in their particular sports, the greatest players in baseball, maybe don't become the greatest managers in the world because when you play the game, you play at such a high level that your expectations can be something very high. How do you, as a head coach, how do you, I don't want to say lower your expectations, but how do you keep realistic expectations, knowing the way you and your teammates played the game and knowing how you need to approach UMBC lacrosse?
Right. Well, I think you have to hold everyone to a high standard, and I think the important thing with coaching is that it's our job to find out how each player learns and how each player develops, and to kind of find out their limits, whether it's athletically or physically, and make them play to the highest player that they can be. And I think here at UMBC, why we're starting to really show a lot of success is because we're taking that extra time to focus on the student athletes and give them the things that they need, whether it's shooting before practice or after practice, whether it's some one-on-one skill or watching some more film. So really trying to understand what that student athlete needs for them to become a better player. And that's kind of our jobs as coaches and educators, is to really find out how these kids learn and bring that out of them and make them the best that they can be on the field.
Amy, as the fans are viewing this, you're into your second half of the season already. I know you're very excited about the prospects for what lies ahead in conference play. You have a great blend of veteran players and young players. You talk about this year's team and how you are ideally headed into conference play.
Right. We play in a very competitive conference, which is always excited. So every game is going to be tough as nails. And I think right now with the team that we have and the team that's growing is a team that's very aggressive, very fast, and likes to get up and down the field and push the pace of the lacrosse ball. And I think, that's the kind of game that Tony and Alex and I like to play. And it's fun to watch lacrosse when the whistle's not being blown every 5 seconds. So I think our girls are doing a really great job of adjusting to that style of game. I think they're having a lot of fun doing it as well. So I think, going into such a competitive conference, we're really excited. We're really excited to play against some of those teams that are considered your rivals, and to play those games that are going to lead you to maybe overtime or 1-game wins or 1-game losses, and kind of learn from that and grow throughout the course of the postseason.
Amy, talk a little bit more about some of the teams you'll see in America East play. Stony Brook has been a top 20 team the last few years. Albany traditionally strong. So it is a very tough league in women's lacrosse.
Right, certainly. So I think obviously Stony Brook right now is ranked in the top 20. And I'm sure Albany's probably not far. They've been there before in the past. Vermont's obviously been up there as well. We've kind of graced the top 20 in the last 5 or so years. So it's a very competitive conference. And, we get along for the most part with almost every coach there. And they want to compete. We want to compete. And as long as it's done in the spirit of the game, it's going to be a great lacrosse game. And that's kind of what we're looking for.
Amy, I've asked all the coaches the same question as they've come up, but obviously, when you're probably not paying attention to the people in the stands while you're coaching, but a lot of young girls out to games, watching games, playing in their own youth leagues. If you could pick out a couple of young ladies on your team that play the game the right way, where as a young player I'm looking and trying to not emulate that kind of player, who are one or two young ladies on your team that you might say, hey, check out the way they play. This is kind of the way you might want to try to go about things.
Right. So I would say just two people off the top of my head. We have Abby Wilson, who's a senior, who has started since her freshman year and has made tremendous strides. So if you've been watching UMBC lacrosse for the past 4 years, you saw Abby as a freshman who at times was a little bit lost. And now she's up there, kind of commanding the attack and doing great things. And she's really come out of her shell the last couple of games in the season. And she's something that you want to emulate athletically. I mean, she's just a specimen. She is one of the quickest players out there. She has incredible stick work, and she plays hard. And so that's a player. If I was a young kid in the stands, I would want to try to emulate Abby on the attacking end. And then in the midfield we have a newcomer to the game, Tiana Waffer, who has started off as a defender and who due to some injuries and some moving of people around has become a pretty strong midfielder. And I think the thing about T is does she get lost? Certainly. Is she a freshman still learning her way? Certainly. But she plays hard all day, every day. And I think that's a good thing. If you play hard, 9 out of 10 times you're going to figure it out. And that's something that we really appreciate from her. And then lastly, just on the defensive end, Lexi Bristow, who may not have been that kid that started every game since she was a freshman, but she has really worked her way and earned her right to be on that field and is a captain. And so I think the girls respond to her. I think that she does an excellent job of directing the defense, and I think that's why a lot of the times we're so successful is because she knows and understands the game and is able to direct some of the younger kids or some of the kids not as experienced as her in that defensive end.
Well, Amy, certainly we really appreciate the visit. Congratulations on your honors and best of luck as we move through the 2015 season.
Great, thanks for having me here.
Once again, UMBC Women's Lacrosse has a couple of big home games in the month of April. They play Hopkins on the 1st and Stony Brook then. We talked about Stony Brook on the 17th. You can catch the entire schedule on umbcretrievers.com. For the UMBC Coaches Corner, I'm Steve Levy.